One of my favorite Penn State football players of all time. We got Adam Taliaferro here with us.
Yes, sir.
And I see what the program is now. It's light years ahead of where I think all of us thought it would have been when all the stuff went down years ago. So for them to be where they're at now, winning double-digit games, hey, man, I'm good with it. I mean, Coach Franklin, man, he's done so much to transform the program. Hey, do we want to see them beating the Ohio States and Michigans? Yeah, all of us want to see that, but these are the best teams in the country. We just happen to be in the same division as them.
Do you have the Coach Paterno voice down?
Yeah, everyone has, man. Like, I remember my first week, we were in training camp. And, you know, like all of us, everybody was the man in high school, right? And then you get up there and I'm playing corner, and I was guarding Brian Johnson. EJ was a wide receiver, first round draft pick. Yep. And he burned me, and I laid down on the field for 10 seconds. And coach was like, Taliaferro, I'll send you back to South Jersey. I'm like, oh, I just got here. I'm trying to find my way, man. Coach Paterno, I learned more about him after I got injured because, as a freshman, we're not really interacting with the head coach too much. I mean, you dealing with your position coach, your coordinators. When I got hurt, man, he would come down every Thursday. I was in the hospital for 8 months. He came down every week to see me in the hospital. I'm like, dude, I can't play anymore. But he I saw how much he cared about us as men, even out off the football field, because I could no longer play anymore. So,
quarterback sneak right side, touchdown, Penn State. Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far?
Yo, guys, we got the merch.
We have hats, shirts, hoodies, we got it all. Make sure you hit the link in the description, check it out.
You guys keep buying the merch. It allows us to produce this pod and continuing to bring you guys dope content.
So go check it out. Make sure you tag us at State Media PSU. And when you get yours, make sure you shout us out. We'll give you a shout out online.
Check it out. I'm looking forward to the support, and we appreciate you guys as always.
All right, Penn State fans, we're back with The Pocket. Got my man B-Bell here. And a very special guest, one of my favorite Penn State football players of all time. We got Adam Taliaferro here with us.
Yes, sir.
And, Adam, we try to make The Pocket, and we're just going to dive right in here, but we try to make The Pocket, as former letterman running this thing, kind of an outlet for us to talk, chop it up, reconnect, the whole nine. I think it's really important. So one thing I like to give all of our guests is the floor to open up and give your state of the program. And I know it's a big thing, and we're going to dive into some more things here. Let's start off Adam Taliaferro's state of the program right now.
Well, first, Hack, B-Bell, man, I appreciate you guys for having me. It's an honor to be with you guys, man. And I tell people, I got to Penn State in 2000. Was my freshman year. From 2000 to 2005, 2004, we didn't win a whole lot of games. We went to one bowl game. It was a struggle, man. And I see what the program is now. It's light years ahead of where I think all of us thought it would have been when all the stuff went down years ago. So for them to be where they're at now, winning double-digit games, hey, man, I'm good with it. I mean, Coach Franklin, man, he's done so much to transform the program. Hey, do we want to see them beating the Ohio States and Michigans? Yeah, all of us want to see that. But these are the best teams in the country. We just happen to be in the same division as them. So it's a work in progress. Those guys, I'm sure all of us have been through it. Those guys on the field, those guys in the building want to win more than any other fan that's watching the game from the sidelines. So I just think I support those guys wholeheartedly, man.
That's facts. That's facts. And before we get too deep into the game, I just want to ask you, so you touched on Coach Franklin, what he's done in the program.
No.
And what's it been for you, like you said, coming from when you were here, wasn't too bright of days, but just being back around the program, saw you at Michigan chopping it up with Spice and your old guys, and I'm sure teammates. That's what I kind of feel like the pocket is about, is bringing that same sideline feel, just online to the podcast. As you said, a letterman. What's it been like being around the program? I've seen you around a ton. I feel like Coach Franklin has built that family aspect seriously, though. And I'd like to see more guys kind of, come back up and just get into it.
Yeah, man. That's what drew me to Penn State, even when I was getting recruited, 23 years ago, man. It's just, I remember going to games as a recruit, and seeing guys on the sideline just like it was a family. Like, I'm like, these dudes played here back in like the 60s and 70s, and they were like welcoming them back like they just got finished playing. So when I finished up playing, and even after I got hurt, I only played in 5 games at Penn State. I got hurt my freshman year, and the way that this program treated me from the moment I got there to after my injury, it's a special place, man. And it brings a smile to my face to be able to go back there and see guys that I played with, talk to guys that played after me, like you guys, that we all went through the same experience. And although we may have played for different coaches, it's a brotherhood. And it's something that I'll always cherish, man. It makes me feel like I'm a kid again, because we all work our daytime jobs. We go through struggles and stresses throughout the week. But to be able to spend 3 or 4 hours on the sideline and just reminiscing about old days, because for all of us, that's probably some of the best times of our lives, being a part of that Penn State football program. So being able to relive that and share that through stories with those guys, man, it's priceless. And I feel so fortunate, because I know we all know guys that played at different colleges, and it's not that same vibe at a lot of other big schools. So for us to have that, and for Coach Franklin to have created that, is special, man. It really is.
Yes, sir.
I will say this, Adam. You were around, when we got there, and again, that was like so tumultuous, up and down. We had, OB, and then he's gone, and then Coach Franklin comes in. So there was a lot of moving parts, and that is a testament to our entire Letterman group. I think it's, if not the most powerful, one of the most powerful and tight knit in the country. And I still think that there's a lot more room for us to continue to get back together, which is the great thing, right? I'm going to jump into a quick question, though, because I grew up in Virginia. I was born in northeastern PA, grew up in Virginia. My wife's a Jersey girl. I'm down here in South Jersey now. I was helping my guy Bill Belton coach, but Adam, I'll tell you this. This is like Billy was a little bit of a mythical figure when you start talking to these coaches about high school ball, but your name came up a bunch. You were an Eastern guy, right? Eastern Regional. And you got your own little like Allen Iverson type S. That's what I compare everything to. Like the Beach kind of has their own lore and guys. Like if you got some guys that have played, and you got guys talking about 20, 23, 24, 25 years later, you had yourself a little lore, dude. I was like, dang, bro, here we go.
It was good times, B. Bell, you went to Oakcrest, right? And all like I feel like South Jersey, man, it was just we felt like we had to get our respect at so many occasions, because we think about high school football, man. You think about Texas, California, Ohio, PA, and I know even you had been playing in Virginia, man. It's like we all try to make a name for ourselves. So I remember I wanted to play varsity when I was a freshman. I played freshman football. I was like, man, I gotta step it up and play varsity my sophomore through senior years. But like all of us, we just want to perform, man. Any chance we got out there to make a play and put our best foot forward. My dream from the age of 7 was to play in the NFL one day. And when I started getting recruited, my sophomore year, it was like, hey, it's time to go out there and do our thing. And you guys, man, I'm honored, because you guys did much more than I did in high school, man. I was just running for my life out there half the time. But when I went up to Penn State after my sophomore year, I got injured, broke my collarbone my sophomore year in the 3rd game, so I was out the entire season. And I wasn't getting recruited by anybody, but I went to Penn State football camp and was fortunate enough to catch some of their eyes. And they, kept their eye on me my junior year and offered me a scholarship at the end of my junior year. And I was locked in, man. And I'd never been to Penn State before. And I'm driving out there like, where the hell are we going? It's mountains, cow pastures. I'm like, man, this is crazy. But at that time, Coach Paterno was like, hey, you come, you'll get the opportunity to play as a freshman. And for me, that's what locked me in, because Coach wasn't really playing too many freshmen back then. But he said, if you come, because they were thin in the secondary, so you come, you'll get to play. So that's what was an intriguing opportunity for me. And I'm thankful. Although I had a career life-altering injury my 5th game of my freshman year, I'm just thankful for that opportunity, because as we all know, a lot of people would love the opportunity to play football at Penn State. It's special.
Right. Dude, man. Two things. First, I'll say just my story is kind of similar, and just speaking to South Jersey and getting that respect, because people talk Jersey football, but they're talking about up north, the Don Boscos, the St. Peter's. So I feel like South Jersey, which is coming along now, is a lot of talent, a lot of better talent. Any coaches, whoever's listening out there, is talent down there, which I think it's definitely witness now. But Same thing. I wasn't necessarily a Penn State fan. I was a fan of college football, the big name schools or the flashy schools, I'll say, back then, the Miami and Virginia Tech, going down to Hacks part of town, even Ohio State, I'll admit it. But then, same thing. I took my first visit, and it was a wrap. It was a wrap. I mean, after I got the Penn State offer, more schools came in, Ohio State and other schools, but I was like, I think, I'm not interested in getting more offers. I found, my home, because even through all the, tumultuous times that was, they told me national TV and 100,000+ in the stadium. I'm like, I'm sold. Coming from little old Atlanta, New Jersey, where football wasn't, the thing that shut the town down. I was like, look, I want to be in front of the bright lights, in front of all these people in a great university. As we spoke on the alumni, the network, the education, it all made sense to me, even through the turmoil that we were going through. And I think that's where Hack and I and that class, we all kind of connected, because, we set out to accomplish, everything we wanted to. And we got that out of a college, experience. And then I wanted to ask you about Joe Pa. You brought up Joe Pa.
Yeah.
What because I never met the man. Never met the man. They started recruiting me after his passing that next year or that next few months. So I got recruited by Ron Vanderlinden, who was a part of his staff. But
Andy.
Yep, the OB crew. And what's something you kind of keep with you about Joe Pa? Whether it's a quote, a story, guys always telling me, funny things or serious things. What's something that you keep with you throughout your life?
Do you have the Coach Paterno voice down?
Yeah,
Everyone has,
man. Like, I remember my first week, we were in training camp. And, like all of us, everybody was the man in high school, right? And then you get up there, and I'm playing corner, and I was guarding Brian Johnson. EJ was a wide receiver, first round draft pick, and he burned me, and I laid down on the field for 10 seconds. And coach was like, Taliaferro, I'll send you back to South Jersey. I'm like, oh, I just got here. I'm trying to find my way, man. But I tell you, man, Coach Paterno, I learned more about him after I got injured, because, as a freshman, we're not really interacting with the head coach too much. I mean, you dealing with your position coach, your coordinators. When I got hurt, man, he would come down every Thursday. I was in the hospital for 8 months. He came down every week to see me in the hospital. I'm like, dude, I can't play anymore. But he, I saw how much he cared about us as men, even out off the football field, because I could no longer play anymore. So when I got back to school that next year, he was on me, what do you want to do with your life? Now I want to be a sports agent. So that's why I went to law school. He wrote my letters of recommendation for law school. So I tell people that there's a lot of coaches out there that, of course, care about us as players, but from the heart, man, he took an interest in me, making sure that I succeeded in life off the field. And that's something I'll always be forever thankful for. I know all of us that played for different coaches, man, we saw that, but that was the one thing I tell people all the time. You hear about coaches caring about players off the field, but he really proved it to me when I could no longer play anymore. He made sure that I got out, that I graduated, and that I was right with law schools and everything. It's whatever you need, I got you. And I'll always be forever thankful for him, for giving me the opportunity to play at Penn State, and also for what he did after I got injured.
Respect. That's respect. That's
common theme I hear from everybody that's played for Coach. And that whole thing's a shame, the way it all went down. But I think when you have that many people talking about a man like that, it's undeniable. And it's just good to hear, and it's good to hear people talk about it, because that whole deal was tough. But deep down, you knew he didn't have a malicious bone in his body. He really did care about every single one of you guys, which is awesome. And I think that's how it should be.
And the thing that really also resonated with me, he tried to make sure we were connected to the guys that played before us. And that's what I see with Coach Franklin. I remember I was on board of trustees when Coach Franklin got hired, and first time I met him, he made you feel like you knew him forever. Man, this dude really wants to keep this family tradition going. And again, to see we never played on the same rosters, but to see the bond that all the guys have from years. But now I feel like old school, man. I'm like, damn, I've been out of Penn State almost 20 years. This is crazy. Got to slow this time down.
We creeping up on 10. I think I feel you, man. I ain't gonna lie.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Vet status. But last thing before we get out of here, appreciate your time during these holiday time. Like Hack said, you're a legend, Penn State legend, but a South Jersey legend as well. Kind of give us, season's not over, but give us your positives, negatives, your takeaways from this season so far, and what do you see for the future?
Hey, I think from a positive standpoint, it's like this team they're growing, and Hack could probably speak to this more than anybody. Just, Drew as, new quarterback, he's learning every week. There's so much more I feel like there's just so much more pressure on these guys now, man, from whether it be social media, just outside influences, NIL, all those things. And I just feel like people got to just let these guys grow, let these guys play and understand where we're at. I mean, these guys won 9 games. These guys are good. A chance to win 10, a chance to play in the New Year's Day Bowl. Like, I know when I was there, we would have died for that. Like, we would have been like, yes, like, this is a great season. So I feel like it's okay. I mean, Penn State, we want to have high expectations, but I feel like people sometimes got to just take a step back and look at where the team is at. The defense play, as a defensive guy, man, I'm just so proud of the way the defense has just played championship football all season. And the offense, hey, they got to continue to grow, and that's all we can ask. And my thing is, you watch every game, they're playing their hearts out, man. It's not for lack of effort.
Right.
We're putting in the work. So I just say, man, just everyone take a deep breath and look at the big picture. Because you look at schools like USC who are struggling. You look at a lot of these big name schools that aren't.
Florida is a list.
Let's be appreciative of what we got and the successes that we've had, and go to this bowl game and keep building for years to come.
Amen to that.
Well, Adam, like B said, we appreciate it, bro. We're looking forward to seeing you up there more. Looking forward to giving you guys and you again this outlet whenever you want to hop on. Just let us know.
Nah, man. I got to say, man, on behalf of all the Lettermen, man, just thank you guys for doing this, man, because I know you guys can be doing many other things with your time and talent, but for you to give guys like myself and so many guys this platform, man, just keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, bro. Enjoy it.
Yes, sir. We got to get that beer still somewhere, Philly, South Jersey, somewhere. I'll come to you. No matter.
Anytime, man, let's do it. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Adam.
All right, you guys take care, man.
You will.
All right, see ya.
Bye, bro.
What's up, everybody? If you are a college football fan like me, if you know a college football fan that's in your life, you need to go cop this shirt. New designs dropping all the time. It's the perfect gift with the holiday season coming around. If you don't have this thing, you're missing out. Great material, great fabric. I wear it all the time. Go get yours today.
So, folks, that was Adam Taliaferro. B, thanks for setting that one up. Great guy. Awesome representation of the program. As my guy Pat McAfee would say.
Yes,
kind of piggybacking off that, bro. We're bringing it home. Beaver Stadium is done for the year. We got a Black Friday showdown in a quote unquote neutral site up at Ford Field with the Michigan State Spartans. And to piggyback off your last question, positives and negatives of this year, B. What do you got for me, man? I think it's important to evaluate. I thought Adam did a great job of just painting the picture. Last week, even we here at the Pocket were pretty rough on the whole outlook, but I thought we were also fair and said some things that needed to be said. But in the grand scheme of things, like a lot of positives to take away from this year. There's some negatives that we definitely got to build on. Expectations that were set both internally and externally by the program. And some of those things they can't control. You know what I mean? You have two of the best teams in the country in your conference. At the end of the day, they expect a place like Penn State to keep up, right? And that's just, again, the big business. Adam talked about it. You got to give these kids time. But realistically speaking, no one's giving this time because of how big this business of college football has gotten, in my opinion. So I know that was a mouthful, but what do you got for me? Positives and negatives this season?
No, that's everything you said was 100% facts. That's the business of what we're in now. College football as a whole, it's we keep talking about is getting more similar to the pro style, which is what have you done for me lately, which is unfortunate for the kids and the people that get scolded, but that is the
these
business.
These kids, though, too, get it earlier, right? I mean, like, we were under a microscope when we were getting recruited in high school, but still we were also like, we had our time to be kids. Like, we could still, our Twitters weren't being scanned for stupid stuff that we said. Like, it wasn't happening at that speed at that time. But these kids are under such a microscope from the time they're 6th, 7th, 8th grade now, with 7-on-7 ball and rivals and 24/7 infiltrating that. Like, it's just the way it's going, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't fight it. You can't fight it.
It is what it is.
In terms of Penn State, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the season only feels, like you said, we ripped, we didn't rip, but we got a little harsh, came down in our program a little bit, only because the expectations were set so high, as they should be. And that's not going to change. That shouldn't change. So the things I'm proud of and positive from the season is that championship defense Adam spoke about. That's something not to be, forgotten. Not that we were perfect and number one in every category, but that, as a defensive guy, the team should help hold their head high and continue to hold their head high on that performance, and definitely continue. Please finish the season off that way. Please. Don't let the foot off the gas. And offensively, I mean, I think we cannot forget that, not that it was all on this quarterback, this young kid, but obviously that position, he's at the helm. But this was his first really, piece of his resume out there. I had a little taste last season, but this was his first true, season, in my opinion, at least. And I think there's a lot to build from. I mean, I was going to ask you that at the end of this pod, where do you go into the season? Yeah, you don't have to answer that now, because I do want to ask you later. But moving on. And I think the offense everyone has room to improve. Obviously, the offense is more visible. And as we spoke about, it's going to lay a lot on, what OC comes in. But from my perspective, I don't care. As a player, if I'm on that offensive, roster right now, whether I'm a guy that's been out there or a guy that wants to see more field, I'm taking it internally. What do I need to do? What am I going to do this offseason to become a guy? Or if I'm already a number one on the roster, what am I going to do to become that X factor? That's the things that I'm looking forward to. And I hope that the kids kind of have that same, mentality, because opportunity is still right there in your hand. I mean, as we said, we're still a few plays away from, eclipsing that, that status of where we want to be.
Yeah. So I'll jump my positives. I'll let you get your negatives. I'll jump into my negatives after that. But we're still on the verge of a 10-win season, right? Like, 10-win season is a 10-win season. We're on the verge of it. The defense you touched on, like, that's something that has always been a staple of Penn State and something that we can hang our hat on. And I'm happy that even through change with coordinators and all this other stuff that's happened, it's been a pretty consistent thing. Another potential New Year's Six Bowl, right? And with that, it's another opportunity to probably beat or, play against a top 10 team, which for Coach Franklin, the more opportunities he gets with that is only going to help him eliminate the narrative of not being able to overcome that. So to me, that's a positive. You're going to get another opportunity on another national stage to go against the top 10 program and see what happens. And then I thought they did handle adversity well. You ups and downs, you get beat by Ohio State, you start a little slow against Indiana, finish strong, put a great performance on against Maryland, who we seem to have their number, and they seem to be able to get in dogfights with the best of them. So, it's one of those things, it's a little bit of a head scratcher, but and then we, shit the bed again, for lack of a better term, with Michigan. But then they come out and with two guys as co-offensive coordinators trying to figure out their identity and getting a rhythm, end up pulling away at the end with Rutgers. So I thought just overall they've handled all the noise and all the expectations and adversity as good as you could expect a bunch of 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids to do.
Right. I mean, I tweeted it and Adam touched on it, but it could be USC bad. And I know for a lot of fans, some people are with me, some people are like, oh, it doesn't care. What's our standard? And of course, our standard doesn't change. But yeah, to step back and keep perspective of this whole college football landscape. And I know people want the elite status, but 10-2, 9-2, New Year's Eve bowl game, it beats 7-3 from a national championship contender like a USC was. Or there's plenty of schools we can name that also have very high expectations that came nowhere near close to meeting those. So just perspective, and to just, I said it last week, Dawn Staley quote, establishing dominance takes time. And we're good. Sometimes we look great, but we're not dominant.
I'll jump on my negatives now because that's a perfect segue, right? Like I thought we never reached our potential offensively, and ultimately that led to a change. But I think the most disappointing part about that is that throughout that whole growth, right? And I'm not expecting the growth to be linear, like straight up and down. Like I understand that there's always hiccups on that graph. No matter how you cut it, it's an imperfect game. There's so many variables, you really can't expect it to be that way. But I think it was the way we played, right? Like, again, after that Maryland game, we thought the tides were turning, they're starting to get a rhythm. And then it was just a very similar type of feel to the Ohio State game. And that was really bad. I mean, it's just what it was offensively. And I'm just going to cut the pie in half. Like offensively, it was just really bad. And I just think that coupled with the expectations and pressure outside, it was just the way we did it, right? If that was a Ohio State or Michigan kicks a game-winning field goal as time expires, like I don't think that stings as bad. But like we just flat out played like horse shit, both of those games offensively and like I said, I keep saying it. I truly believe it does not come down to the Jimmies and Joes. Like I think we have the kids in the building and on that roster to compete with those guys and make those games much more entertaining and coming down to those 3 or 4 plays. And really, both of those games were out of control and out of our hands for the vast majority of the game. And it was just the manner in which we lost was a negative and a disappointing. Like it was almost like we didn't rise to that occasion and rise to the moment as a unit, which, take that how you want to take it. Right. I think that's how I diagnosed it. That's how I see it. And that's how I'm going to call it.
Right. Yeah. And that kind of leads to my negative. I mean, you spoke on it throughout those weeks, coming off of losses. And it's hard, we're not in the locker room or on the sideline or in the practice facility. Not going to talk like I am. But we didn't quite see that alpha male, that X factor come, rise to the occasion, as you said, to kind of, energize this team or the offense, whoever it may be, to kind of, give them that juice to kind of like, okay, things aren't going well, but hey, we're still swinging. We're going out Dukes flying, as you said, the way we didn't really lose those tough games, throwing all our punches. It didn't seem that way. And I would like to see, the players and whoever it may be step up in those occasions. And I mean, it's tough. Maybe they're not put in the positions to even do that. I don't know. But I would like to see that moving forward. That has to be a key factor in like the offense, obviously a good scheme and all that, but allowing your guys to go be, the dogs that they're trained.
It's almost like a mindset and a mentality. Like it's like an attacking mindset and mentality. And there's so many cliche terms, and we're going to get to some of this in the mailbag because I did love the one question we got. But there's so many like buzzwords that people use. But like truly the attitude of the offense is, to me, very, very important. I think it should be that. Like it should be on the offensive. Like you should be trying to your point, empty the bag, throw your punches, play the game, box, whether it's some games you may have to come out like Floyd, other games you might have to come out like Tyson and throw your haymakers. Like you just have to figure out. And I hope that the personality that we're going to bring in can take control of all the different variables that may come into him being able to do that. and just let the fucker fly, for lack of a better term. I mean, just breed confidence into the players, breed confidence into everybody else in that building. And when you get these types of opportunities, it's only going to become more. We talked about it last week. You're only going to get more opportunities against marquee programs, the Oregons, the Washingtons of the country now coming into the conference. You're only going to continue to get more of these. So, we beat everyone we were supposed to beat according to Vegas this year. We lost to everyone we were supposed to lose to. I think there's just the dissemination of talent across college football with the transfer portal, all this other stuff that's going on. I think you just need to understand that when you get these types of opportunities, it's got to become second nature. And like you hinted at earlier, more of that NFL mentality where on any given Sunday, the worst team in the league, I was on the worst team in the league for 3 years basically. And at any given time, the worst team in the league can come out and beat the best team. It's just a matter of are they confident? Are they in the right positions? And that comes down to that holistic approach. So I don't want to beat a dead horse with how important this hire is, because I think we all know. But I think we got the right folks who are going to be vetting it and ultimately getting it done.
Right. And just to and there's not much, but another W in the win column. Yeah. Beating Rutgers. We spoke on it. New 2 OCs, interim OCs taking over, and I think we both didn't expect. You can't expect. I know fans may not understand this. You can't expect a revolutionary change in the offense.
Not starting off with day one install on a Sunday walkthrough. No.
But as you said, they did what they had to do to win. Defense, kind of to your point of anyone can kind of get got. Our defense, Rutgers looked a lot, improved from what they've been. They made some plays. Yeah, they did. I had talking to a few coworkers of mine, the Rutgers fans, kind of speaking on that. I think they said between the top programs, us, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Rutgers faced them. There were about 8 opportunities in the red zone that they've settled for field goals, or 7 or 8 opportunities. Yeah. And it kind of reminded me of where, we're above that, but I was telling them, I understand your frustration because you see the talent and it's improved in the scheme and the opportunities there, but you're not quite, making those plays to score 6 or whatever it may be. Yeah. And they're frustrated. But I'm look, I can't say Penn State is too far ahead because I've felt that frustration because, we're kind of not exactly where we want to be compared to Ohio State and Michigan. But all in all to say, Rutgers is getting better. There's a lot of teams getting better. And it will become a, NFL mentality of any given Saturday, especially with this shifting going on. Transfer portal, every school's getting talent. I think that's something I think we may need to take a deeper look at for ourselves this offseason.
Yeah, the transfer portal?
Yeah,
in terms of leveraging it?
Yeah, leveraging it in our hand. Guys, I'm not going to speak into existence, but guys are going to move. Yeah. Going to leave us, going to come to us, but I think we need to make a conscious effort of going out and trying to secure, some X factors.
Yeah, well, I know it's been said. It is unrestricted free agency, right? So it's I'm not coming up with a novelty phrase there, but it is what it is. And we were talking about it, if Caleb Williams, for some batshit crazy reason, decided to stay in college football, if I was Caleb Williams or if I was somebody who had Caleb's ear, I'd be like, dude, throw your name in the portal. You can come back.
Right.
But throw your name in the portal and see if someone's going to pay you $15 million to come play quarterback next year if you really want to play college football. And if it's a program that can go out and compete for a national championship, all the better. You know what I mean? Whatever. You've already shown you can move and be an immediate impact player. So just go do it.
Right. Hey, that's a bold hot take from Hack right there. Hey, I like it though.
I said this back when Bryce Young when he was a sophomore at Alabama. When he won his natty, if I was Bryce, I was like, shoot, the capitalist economic side of me is Nick, I love you, brother. If you pay me, I'll be back, but I'm going to the portal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to test these waters. So I think that's something that the NCAA or whatever this whole thing becomes needs to take a look at, because that is, I mean, it is truly something. I know some coaches have voiced their opinion about it publicly. It is going to be a problem. And you can't – there's got to be parameters. It just can't be
right.
I think it's going to be really interesting this year, just with the landscape of college football and how everything's shaken out. I know we've had crazy portal experiences in its young life, but I think there's only going to be more and more of those. But to touch on what you said about Rutgers, let's just get into that fully now. Yeah, I mean, I said it in the mailbag. Like, it was about what I expected. Like, to your point, and it wasn't even like they had one offensive coordinator. They had co-offensive coordinators.
Right.
When you get into that game, then you got to start feeling like, I know Ty was up in the box and Juwan was down on the sideline. Like, you got to start seeing, who's gonna be the decision maker. Is Ty just working like two or three plays ahead, and Juwan focusing on the task at hand? Like, there's a dance that goes with that as well, and you can't practice that. You can try, but it really doesn't work with the pressure and the shot clock running down and all this stuff. So it's like, the little tussle in the first half was about what I expected. I would have loved to have seen some more explosiveness in some ways, but ultimately it shook out the way I think it was going to shake out. We were supposed to beat them. Defense made a couple plays, gave us some short fields. We took advantage, and I thought Beau looked pretty good. He got his chance. I know Drew got dinged up, but Beau got his chance, specifically running the football, and I think that's a great little change up, and it's going to be something that's going to be really interesting to pay attention to, because I know that was a point of emphasis coming into the year. Beau here was that he was going to be more involved. It really didn't come to fruition, and now, both prior to Drew getting hurt and after Drew got hurt, the kid got some burn and he did some good things. Yeah.
I think we got to keep in mind as fans, I see a lot of people turning their back on Drew, and it happens to every kid. I mean, you went through it, and it doesn't really matter who's at the helm, but there's a learning curve for everyone. I know we talked about that curve, being shortened in today's world as far as giving kids time, but even with Beau, there's a learning curve that comes with his, development as well. And, it may not show his head yet, but when the time comes, just understand that these kids are kids.
And I know people are going to talk about this, right? And it's, Coach Franklin said that Drew's going to be ready to play, or he expects Drew to be ready to play this week during his presser.
Yeah, get your behind down, man. Slide.
Yeah, right. But there's some there's probably a contingency of Penn State fans out there that are saying, hey, let Drew spin, or let Beau spin. It's fun to see what he's got. It's just so difficult. Like, there's been so many changes already this year with offensive staff personnel, with Yursich being fired. And I said it, quarterback's most dependent position in sports. You may see a flash in the pan right now and want to run to it, but at the end of the day, the overall experience of Drew this year is much more valuable than the immediate gratification of Beau going out there and running around a little bit. You still need to play within a system to be able to win big games at that position. You still need to understand the bigness of things, and there would be a massive learning curve for Beau at this point. Maybe another hot take. I think this spring's going to be really interesting with that whole thing. But we'll see how it plays out.
You got the Grudemeyer kid enrolling early too.
Yeah,
I just saw.
Yeah.
So
I think the spring's going to be really interesting. I think Drew is obviously at an advantage having played, but I think that there's some work to do, and I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to that room specifically this offseason at Penn State. And I don't want to get ahead of myself because we got. We still got some work to do, but I think it's going to be something that everyone's going to have their eyes on, and I would not be surprised if it's similar to how last year entered the season, if people are catching my drift.
Yeah. Hey, competition breeds the best product, but as you said, there's still a lot of football left. And we got, the boys heading down to Detroit, going against Michigan State, as you touched on, the neutral site, battling for the Land-Grant Trophy. It's at stake. It is at stake.
Yeah, rivalry week, dude. I want to get your take on this. I get the tradition of it. I think it's Minnesota and Michigan State. Is Purdue a trophy game for us too? I don't think so.
No. Yeah, it's.
I'm saying Minnesota and Michigan State are two of our trophy games.
Right.
I don't remember it ever being like a big focal point, and I wish it was when I was there.
Yeah. I guess it depends if it ever was at Penn State. We should have asked Adam that. That would have been a good question. Because, if it was like a lineage thing where it's – but to your point, I don't remember it being spoken about. It's like, we can win this, bring this trophy back. Sure, I got a picture holding it, but, it's not – I think it's the whole unrivaled thing. I'm not sure if there's that much hostility between – I feel like everyone hates us to a certain degree, at least on the player-wise, not like fans and stuff.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like Michigan State, there's not that much smoke. Maybe, I don't know.
I feel like
it's always a good game.
There is more animosity with like the Michigans and the Ohio States, which is funny. But.
For sure. And they'll never admit that because they have their own rivalry, but they definitely, seek to shut us up every year.
Yeah.
Land-Grant Trophy, it's cool. To me, it's just like you said, another opportunity to get a dub, improve. It's another. You only get so many opportunities to step out in the blue and white, and this is the last one in the regular season. And as we know, health-wise, it could be your last one ever. So I'm looking for guys to cut loose. That's always what I loved about last games of the year. You got weeks, a month to get healthy, so just cut loose, fly around. I was always throwing my body around. Probably why I feel like crap now, but cut loose, a chance to see that explosiveness. There's nothing to lose, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's another game where we're favored, right? And like a should win for Penn State. And that's a positive that I've hung my hat on this year is that, we've had our moments of like, what are we doing, in a thumb war with this team, but it's another chance for us to do what we're supposed to do. And then, to your point, like cut loose, all that. I just need to see growth from the offensive side, right? Like that's something that we never really saw with Yurcich all year. It was kind of a lot of stagnicity, if that's even a word. It is now. I heard it right here. It sounds crazy. But especially early in the year, we were, playing Delaware and we were doing this. We started off with West Virginia hot, but like you never really saw a ton of growth. Like I thought that we did and executed what we were going to execute. And then when we had chances to do something more, we really never did it. So I kind of want to see that this week, especially for Ty and Juwan heading into bowl prep. Like you said, you're going to have a month to prepare for whomever the next opponent is, which we got a ton of suggestions from the mailbag. And I think I may have jumped the gun with that because I want to really dive into a few of them after next week shakes out. I just need to see like some type of momentum and rhythm that these guys as a unit can carry into bowl prep week. It's always, fun to kind of reset, do some self-scout, but you really get a chance to solidify what, given the time frame, which is not a lot, like you said, you're going to be able to start see Ty and Juwan put their little sprinkles on what has already been established and get some type of rhythm and identity and improvement and momentum, right? Like we talked about momentum, confidence, and breed it into these guys heading into what I said, if it all shakes out, is going to be a really good opportunity for all people involved. So,
and with that being said, I kind of have a question for you. And I won't call it a curveball, but I know we've talked about our defense all year, and Manny Diaz has done a great job, and I know we'll get to him in the mailbag, but where does he go from here as far as the defensive coordinator at Penn State? Because I think
Manny?
Yeah, and I'm not saying to change the identity. We've talked about it. We love it. But a certain part of me is is when that big game comes, New Year's Six game, still got to beat Michigan State, but
yeah,
I think there'll be a really good quarterback we're playing against. And I think that's where we could get beat. And we've seen it throughout the season. Like I said, we're not perfect, but there's plays to be made against an aggressive defense. How do you kind of combat that? Because the team, whoever we face in the bowl game, is going to have a month to prepare as well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm looking for growth, but maybe a change up, or I don't want to be too consistent on defense if you're catching.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I think that there's definitely an element of self-scout that is going to take place. Like I said, you and I have both been in bowl prep. There is a good portion of self-scout, tendency breakers. You have the GAs working all night long, putting together, percentages, whether it's formational checks or formational tendencies that you do. And you want to try to break those. But I will say this. I think for the most part, our defensive backfield and our secondary has done a hell of a job. I mean, when you talk about the tests at quarterback that we've faced, Ohio State, you could say that. I think Kyle McCord's an explosive kid. Adam Brenneman just posted this video. I think, how can you argue what he's been doing all year? He's got a top 2 program. They've won in the country. So, hey, whatever. But, I mean, really outside of Marvin Harrison getting loose on a couple plays, we kept him in check. And then JJ, I mean, Michigan tipped their hand. He knew they couldn't drop JJ back because our defense.
I was proud of that. I said that going in, that I didn't want this to become like his Heisman breakout game against us, and it dang sure didn't.
Yeah.
We had to prove that.
Yeah, I mean, he made a couple plays with his legs and whatever, but there's those things were even preventable.
Right.
That's just gap sound and staying in your lanes and being disciplined. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely a portion of that. I think being able to disguise a few things. We've been a big corner blitz team in some big situations. It paid off for us. Well, we sent 2, we got burned on 1, they picked it up, but then we hit on it. So there's some things that we do that are kind of, I guess you could say, unorthodox in ways. I think Manny goes back and self-scouts it and does some things, but they got a great staff over there too. So, I think they're going to get creative with some things. He may have a few tricks up his sleeve with all that time, watching NFL ball, going through things that he may throw in there. But our team, that side of our ball is so athletic.
Right.
You can get away with so many things, and you can disguise things so well. They can cover so much ground at the snap. So I just really think that he's gonna still be who he is. Like, he's gonna be aggressive. But I think it's just, to your point, like changing the presentation and being conscious of the tendencies that you may have displayed all year.
Yeah. And that's where and it's just me, because I know my style of defense. I'm not sure if I would have thrived in his game, which is not for me, so it doesn't matter. But I would love to see this super athletic defense that we're talking these guys kind of read and react a little more, especially on the back end, because our DBs are so good. They have a chance to kind of have eyes on the quarterback. I think there'll be more opportunities for interceptions, a little more, zone packages that, let the front 4 rush. Let everybody else have eyes and break on the ball, because I think it would be dangerous either way. But, attacking, you're never wrong with attacking and putting the defense on their heels.
Well, the advantage, too, is you can expect that if the quarterback has more than 2.5 seconds, 2 seconds really, to throw the football, he's either escaped out of the back of the pocket and running for his life and cuts the field in half. So, I think our DBs have gotten testament to them. There's a timing mechanism that goes with that, right?
Yeah.
Like they're in their backpedal and they're like, all right, like, ball's got to be out.
Right.
So, there's no insane drops covering guys. So I think they naturally play with that. And that's the beautiful thing about the front we have and what we do. And I think it gives them a lot of opportunity. So if you have a team that is pass happy, we can make them one-dimensional. Right. I think it just feeds into us being able to eat, and that's something that really kind of got us with Michigan. Michigan was able to be efficient running the football.
Yeah,
for the most part. It didn't help that we didn't have a pulse on offense, but I think that's a big that's a big factor.
Yeah, and I think we kind of saw that this week against Rutgers. The interception from the safety Kevin Winston, hell of a play, hell of an athlete. Kid looks good, looks like a pro player. I'm not sure if it was drawn up or he just reacted that way, which either one is great. But he buzzed the flat off the corner blitz straight into the interception. It was a beautiful breakdown, and that's something I don't know if, like I said, if that was a changeup or the kid just saw it. But that's what I like to see out of the guys, just being football players, and I think that was. Hopefully, we get a little more of that. I mean, defense has been great, but I'm always, I'm greedy. I want more. I want more interceptions. I want guys that make more plays. I think that was his first career interception. He spoke about it. It was a great feeling, which I'm sure. Want him to get more. Stay up on your feet. Take it to the crib, baby.
Yeah.
Something I never did.
Yeah. I'm honestly, bro, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that.
I'm just being greedy.
I know you are. But I think I fully expect it to be some good stuff. And with that, let's get to our mailbag. And like I said, I apologize to everybody that threw out their bowl game predictions.
Yeah,
I'll rattle off a few of them here at the end. But like I said, let's get a little bit more of a clear picture and maybe jump into 2 or 3 of these opponents and dive into them pretty heavy after the conclusion of this Michigan State game.
What's up, everybody? If you are a college football fan like me, if you know a college football fan that's in your life, you need to go cop this shirt. New designs dropping all the time. It's the perfect gift with the holiday season coming around. If you don't have this thing, you're missing out. Great material, great fabric. I wear it all the time. Go get yours today.
From X, at We Are To The Top. When hiring a coordinator, how do you balance doing what is best for the program with rewarding the position coaches below an OC that you have been loyal to?
How do you read that? I guess
I read it as how do you balance promoting from within or hiring outside?
Okay.
That's how I read it as.
Okay. Yeah, in that case, I mean, I don't have much, but I think it's as much as you love to hire from within. It's hard to say what that person's, resume or identity would be. I imagine interview goes, what's your system? What's your plan? What do you see? I think that would be kind of hard to do as a guy that's already been here. I mean, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe, if you're the coach, you've been writing up your own playbook since waiting for that opportunity. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll say this. I think the situation dictates that, right? Like, I think if we were in a different situation, if Mike Yurcich was leaving to be the head coach at Texas A&M, because we were doing a fantastic job on offense, I think the opportunity to hire from within becomes much more feasible. But due to the situation and, like I said, how I view it, the level
the gravity
of importance on this hire, and not knocking either Ty. Like I said, Ty is my center. I would love for Ty to get the opportunity. Juwan, same thing. I just don't know how much overall play calling experience either of those guys have. I know Ty did a little bit of it at Western Illinois, but they just don't have what I would believe as the resume to dictate this position with the bigness of it. It would take a set of stones, in my opinion, for that. And I think that the situation just dictates a much more veteran play caller with all of those things that I talked about, the confidence, the ability to instill that in the room and in the unit room as a whole. And specifically, deal with this quarterback situation they have and really groom, whether it's Drew or whatever. I think it's, for me, like I said, I got a lot of respect for what Drew's done and how he's dealt with the thing. So just a system that, not even a system, because again, I hate that, but a guy who's going to put these guys in positions to be successful based upon what their skill set dictates. So that's with that question. I think that that answers it. I think in a different scenario, being able to do that, and I don't think Coach Franklin's going to hurt either of those guys' feelings, right? Like I think that they're going to do what they're going to continue to do. They're going to keep coaching the hell out of their rooms and do a great job, and be ready to continue to build their resume, because they got a lot longer runway than us players do in terms of career stability and growth.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right.
What else we got?
Let's go. So from Joseph Tracy 4, we kind of touched on this last week, but I think this bodes well into your question that you asked at the end of this. Never thought Yurcich was the man for the job. Okay. Now the new problem may be that Diaz becomes a head coach. Do you have anything to elaborate on that? Because I mentioned last week that could be a possibility that could cause a few voids in the staff that then makes Coach Franklin's offseason a lot harder.
Right.
Do you have any indication, any vibe that Manny's really ready to make that move yet, or is there something that is telling you that he's going to stick around for another year or two?
Honestly, I have no indication on either, just from what I know, and I don't know Manny well at all. I've met him a few times. My guy was Coach Pry. Kids love him, love the system, love the aggressiveness. And for me, like I said, I have no reason to think this, just outside of what I believe, kind of his last taste of being a head coach. From what I see from the guy, I think he wants to right that wrong. So I would, if the right opportunity comes, I think he takes it. But at the same time, I don't know what that right opportunity looks like for him, because I'm sure he's been getting offers since last year. Yeah. But, which I learned when, just being close to Coach Pry, he was, up front with us. He got offer from here and there. And he told us straight up, like, look, guys, I'm not looking to rebuild anything, that type of deal. When the right one comes, the right one comes. So for Manny, I'm not sure what that looks like. But if it's coming soon. If it's not this year, which I hope it's not, or next year, hope he stays. Either way, I'm confident in the guys that are in the Penn State locker room to get the job done. As you said, defense has always been a pretty staple. And it's funny to think, beginning of the season, D-line this, and people weren't sure about this. And now it's like, please, Manny, don't go. So
yeah, I will say this. Unlike what I would say as the offensive side of the ball, if Manny does leave, that he's going to go to your point, a situation that's good, and I think that situation dictates it. And just a guy that I have a lot of personal respect for, recruited me at Virginia when I was coming out, and he's waiting in there. As Anthony Poindexter has some experience. People thought that he may have been the next guy once Pry left. Step in there, but he also had the opportunity to possibly take the Virginia job, which is his alma mater. So, but I think that they have not just him, but I think they have a few guys on that side of the ball that could step in and do a good job. Right. And again, that it's a different situation. You know what I mean?
It goes right back to the offensive situation you just spoke on. When he goes somewhere, it's definitely easier to look within if that's the case. And I feel what you're saying now. That's a perfect representation.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. All right. This is a good one, B, because this kind of goes back to what I hinted at with all those buzzwords and stuff that people are throwing around. And this was one that I was really excited about when I saw it today. At Papa John 814, Hack, walk us through how this RPO look at the beginning of what feels like every play we run works, and how it survived like 3 to 4 OCs. It looks like it kills the play development and distracts the QB from going eyes up and making a clean read / progression. Would love to cut it up, or would love to cut it. So he wants it out. So I'll jump in, B, and I'll let you.
I don't got much. I don't have much.
Yeah, you're a defensive guy. So I think that this whole RPO world, and there's a bunch of different things and lingo that all these people use. Like, it's a buzzword, man. And the RPO stands for run pass option. It's leveraged in a lot of our run game because it essentially serves as an extension of the run game if the defense is trying to add a hat to the box, right? Like, I've said this before, football is a very simple game when you dissect it. It's numbers, leverage, and matchups, right? 8 guys in the box, you got a 6 or 7 man blocking surface, someone's unblocked. How do you handle that? Do you handle it with a naked? Do you now, in today's game, a lot of it is handling it with leaving the guy unblocked, reading him to either pull it and run, or in the RPO case, reading the extra hat outside of the front 7, who's going to either insert themselves in their run fit and be able to make some type of horizontal stretch type pass play to defeat it. So when you say that the RPO is part of every single play that we run, it's not. I think our play action game and the play action game in general out of shotgun is really weak because it doesn't present what I believe, and B, maybe you can jump in here, as a very good run action for the second level defenders, which is who you're trying to affect in the play action game, right? So to answer the question, I want to separate RPO from play action and token fakes and all this stuff, right? RPO, I think, is a great tool. I think it's cheating, personally. I think it's cheating, especially when you start getting some linemen downfield and so on.
Don't get me started. I don't know about that.
They're calling it. They're getting better at calling it, but it's cheating. But it's a different way to skin a cat, right? In old school pro style systems, oftentimes you counteracted this with the naked game, right? Where even if you got in a 12 personnel with 2 tight ends and a bigger blocking surface, seven man blocking surface, you would just leave the defensive end unblocked. Your tight ends would climb to the second level defenders. And basically, if that defensive end was starting to get too nosy, you'd call a naked, get out the edge and throw something in the flat, whatever. So there's lots of ways to skin the cat. I think it's integral. To me, it's just a very, very small piece in a lot of these systems that are going on. To answer your question, I would get rid of the shotgun play action because I don't think it does anything. And maybe to this Papa John's point here, the quarterback may be spending too much time giving a fake that may or may not really be that much of a fake for a linebacker who's trying to run. Like, I believe that still to this day, hard run action fakes out of under center are the toughest to defend. It affects the most people. And it gives your receivers and tight ends or whoever else you're trying to get out in the route the most advantageous look. And it takes a special talent. Like, it's not being coached because these kids are in shotgun from the time they start playing football now. But, if that's going to be part of your game, I think under center, hard ball action fakes, pulling guards, all this stuff that you can do with protection when the quarterback turns his back and extends the football really does what it's supposed to do. So kind of splitting these things up into two different pockets here. I think the RPO is great for when it's being used. If you're using it to leverage with access throws to the outside, bubble screens, whatever, even some slant games and even glance games now. But when you're talking about true play action, yes, I think any type of token fake out of gun that may look like a run pass option to the average person watching, to me, kind of screws with the quarterback a little bit and really doesn't do what it is intended to do.
Right. And I'll jump in.
I can elaborate on that all night.
From the defensive standpoint, as a second level defender, linebacker, you hit the nail right on the head. What are you doing to affect these guys? And I'm right with you with the traditional hard play action is what gets guys moving. It's what we're taught is to read, play action is elephants on wheels. Are you hearing the pads, bang to where it's like, okay, run pass. I didn't make that decision now. If I'm not hearing clang, clang up front, then I know it's a pass. And I think with that shotgun play action, you're not getting that hard, zone right or power, whatever run fake you're trying to accomplish. You're not getting that. So I'm not moving, which is you're not creating space that way. I'm going to see tight ends. I'm going to see running backs out the backfield, whatever it may be. And back to the kind of RPO, I'm not a fond of it. I'm not fond of it if you're not going to tell the kid to keep it or have the kid keep it. And I know Drew is not the most athletic, but I think just like we have run plays for him. I think we need to tell him to keep it, or I don't know, drill it, keep it every now and then. Keep that guy out.
I mean, but that's the thing is like keeping it isn't part of the RPO. That's just a pure read option, man. like run, pass, option.
Yeah. Right.
There's a pass element to that. So he's not really keeping it.
Right.
If he pulls it, like, he's throwing it.
Right.
So that's where I said, like, you need to delineate a lot of these things. And yes, I agree with you. Like, if there's going to be a read option element to this, which is really just the new school triple option, right?
Yeah.
Where, you watched Army and Navy run it for years, and now that's going out even. But
Georgia Tech do it
the
either.
old school triple option was really hard to defend because you had to have multiple layers of your defense be extremely disciplined.
Right.
Very hard.
Right.
Play in, play out for 75 snaps a game. Extremely hard to do. Now they're doing it out of gun with all these other things. So, like, yes, the quarterback does need to pull it. That's kind of how you handle the edge guys. Now when you're trying to start say, okay, this safety that rotates down, if he starts getting nosy, we're going to throw a glance off his ear. Like, that's the run pass option side of things. You simplify it because it's literally if then. So if that guy stays, I'm handing the football off because essentially I delayed him from his run fit. So now if it has to bounce to him, it's still a 3 or 4 yard gain.
Right.
Great, efficient, we're on schedule, keep it moving. If he dives hard, I'm pulling this and replacing him with the throw.
Right.
So, and it's not like we're reading progressions. It's just like the receiver's running to green grass and you go. So it doesn't affect any of the quarterback's reads. Like, you're literally focusing on the read once the ball snaps. So it's not going to screw with things. So that's why I said, like, I think you have the read option, the run pass option, and then you have your play action game, which, again, like I said, even if you're an undisciplined linebacker and you're not listening and you're not watching your hats and your pad level and guards pulling stuff like that, you're not reading your keys. If you're a guy who's just got your eyes in the backfield, like, if a quarterback just goes here, you're seeing the football the whole time. It's very easy to see what he's doing. So sorry.
Definitely no. You corrected me. Definitely, I'm thinking more of the read part of aspect of it, which is the first part.
White zone read where he was torching motherfuckers with Steve Slayton.
That end has to respect it. I've watched too many games. The end is just crashing and catching our guy on the backside, and it's like they're not respecting at all. And why would you? Go get a tackle for loss.
A huge part of the zone run game is if flow rips over the backside A gap is where the play is supposed to hit. So once you flow, boom, and who's responsible for that backside A gap? The backside in.
Yeah.
So again, that's where you start seeing everything work in unison. And then you got guys who start crack replacing with the linebacker. Like, there's a whole bunch of like punch, counter punch, and how to read and what to do. But it's like, you start layering all these things in, you have to understand that when you're talking run pass option, oftentimes it's a singular person. It's not going to really affect the timing of a progression. It's not like you're running like a concept football out there. Like, it's like I'm literally replacing this guy with a stick, with a slant, with a bubble, with a screen outside. Like, it's very, very vanilla because there's just not enough time and space to be able to do that and be legal, because literally your linemen are running zone. Like, they're coming off their double teams and climbing to the second level. So there's just a lot that goes into it. So
good question, though. Good question.
Yeah, I thought that was a great question. So Papa John 814.
John.
brother.
Any more on here that aren't bowl game related?
Nah. Well, Jonathan Coker, our guy Jonathan B. Coker. Thoughts versus Rutgers. Figured we would be run heavy given the new OCs. Also, hoping Allar is healthy enough to play next week. Not really a question, but could you elaborate more on why Beau is better situated at second string and Allar as the starter gives us the best chance to win?
I mean, I kind of leave this simple as, I know it's easy when a player offense struggles to just, let's give this kid a shot, which, is warranted sometimes. But you got to remember there's training camp, there's mini camp for a reason, and you trust that the best player that the team has decided to, put out there is taking the reps for a reason, Now, if it's a super close battle, I think maybe we see two guys on the field more, or both guys play more at once. But all in all, they're both really young guys. So I think it was probably clear cut during camp that who gave the team the best chance to win.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not a big fan of the 2 quarterback system. I think it's really hard to win at a championship level with that. I think you need a guy. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying, like with the offensive coordinator and like throwing the system thought out of this, because really good coordinators don't stuff square pegs into round holes. They see what they have. They see the guy they trust the most, and then they build around what they do best.
Right.
And they put them in positions to be successful consistently. So I think ultimately they found that with Drew. I think there's an element that Beau brings that's very interesting and intriguing. And again, we'll just have to see how everything develops throughout the year, or throughout their careers. There, it's not really a year. It's next 2-3 years. But usually the best guy is the team. The guy that the coaching staff trusts the most is who they roll out there. So
I think that's the big word, just trust. And that goes all sides of the ball, any position. I learned that myself when I thought I should be getting more tick as a young linebacker. And it didn't. I don't forget how, but it dawned on me. It's like, do they trust you to, run the call, do it right, make the play when it's there, do what you're supposed to do. And that goes for any young player, any coaches listening out there, hopefully some young guys listening, because everybody feels like they should be on the field, which I get. But can you be trusted to do what's called, run the plan and execute it? And that's ultimately usually what it's all about.
No
from
doubt.
the coach's perspective.
No doubt. So with that, I'll rattle off a couple teams that people are talking about. I'm hearing Ole Miss. I'm hearing Oregon. Heard somebody throw Bama out there. Washington. So it'll be interesting. Citrus Bowl, Fiesta Bowl. Like I said, I jumped the gun. I'll take that.
I don't know too much of which game gets decided, but I'll just shoot out there. I wouldn't mind, once again, defensively, I wouldn't mind going against Oregon. I'd like to see our defense up against something like that. They got one loss to Washington, but that would be fun to watch. Bo Nix, his 8th year in college football, he's on fire right now. They've got a pretty explosive offense, so I'd like to see our defense up against that challenge.
Yeah. I don't even know at this point, but I think any of those programs would, again, just from an opportunity and optics standpoint, be great for Coach Franklin, for this offensive unit, and then again, to your point, for the defensive unit to continue to do what they've been able to do against 2 of the best programs in the country, and then the rest of the Big Ten. I want to see us rise to the occasion. To make this whole thing full circle, I want to see us rise to the occasion, and this is going to be a great opportunity to do so on a massive stage. So, with that, dude, I think that's a wrap. Bro.
Another good pod, man. Good pod. I appreciate all the love everyone sent us throughout this whole year, but last episode, I guess that was a good one. I'll take it. And I appreciate Adam coming on, man. Letting you guys know we're, as you said, this is like for the Letterman. Open it up to you guys. Let us know. Hit us up. We'll figure something out. Love to hear your stories. Definitely want to hear more from the guys, beyond our time as we kind of, branch out and, meet those guys and get to know their stories a little bit more. It's something I look forward to. So going to get more of that from the pocket, Hackenberg.
No doubt. Yeah, dude, I'm always good. Good for some story time over a beer or two. B, you mentioned something great. We got some, just like these guys after this week are going to be heading into bowl prep. We are as well. Fans, you got any suggestions for us for topics that are maybe outside the box? There's a little dead period, not going to have too much ball on. Shoot them our way. definitely open for it. Maybe some suggestions on some guests. We have a couple lined up, but definitely open for all that. So hit our DMs, hit Mercury, hit State Media up. And as always, like, subscribe, wherever you guys are listening and taking all of this information in. We greatly appreciate it. We also have the merch. Check us out at Mercury. Support the pod. Get you some pocket gear. And we'll see you guys next week. And hopefully we're a 10-2 ball club, ripping and roaring into a New Year's Six bowl. And I'm pretty confident that's going to be the case. So for Christian Hackenberg and Brandon Bell, we're out. Appreciate it.